Undertale! Yeah! Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, I'll be reacting to one of the videos from the YouTube channel Game Theorists, and it's about Undertale. So yeah, this video came out in 2018, so I think around 3 years ago. I hope that you like this video as much as I do, because I'm a huge fan of their work. Let's start. Science! Also spoilers ahead for Deltarune. Okay, so it's not Undertale, it's Deltarune, so yeah. Awkward. Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna forgo my normal routine because, well, to be honest, I didn't expect this episode to be so difficult for me, emotionally. I know that I have kind of a persona or character that I play for the effect of the show, and it's not me acting. I actually am kind of a hyperactive, intense person when I'm talking about things that I find exciting, but the truth of the matter is that researching this topic wasn't exciting for me.
Wait, I don't understand. Shouldn't you start a video like the signs of, it's like dear something? Why is it so dark? This video is why is it so dark? Just in case, viewer discretion is advised. Just in case, I got no idea why.
In fact, writing the script was enormously difficult for me just because the act of reading about it, let alone psychoanalyzing a mentally ill adolescent and drawing conclusions was, well, it was a thing. In any case, it doesn't feel right to be my normal, "Hi, it's me, Austin."
They just said some really disturbing stuff. True.
Shtick, because honestly it just wouldn't be authentic to how I feel, and it's precisely because this topic is so difficult for me that I feel it's important to get through it, not just for me but for you too. But enough dilly-dally, let's get into it. Kris from Deltarune, the sequel, not sequel, of Undertale, isn't the hero of the story. Susy is. And I'll get around to explaining why that is later, but first we have to talk about Kris, the protagonist of Deltarune.
The protagonist of Deltarune, the main character, the MC.
You'll notice that while I called Susy the hero, I called Kris the protagonist, and this is because I paid attention in high school English and I actually read every single book that was assigned. Hell yes, even the Scarlet Letter, and I liked it too! Fight me! Anyway, we typically think of...
And I liked it too! Yeah!
Hero and protagonist is interchangeable because, well, in most narratives they are, but they actually aren't. A hero, according to a great summary from TV tropes, is almost always right and a friend to all their teammates, and morally superior. Anybody in the story can be a hero, and
something like someone with a good, strong, stable, solid moral compass. I think that's what you're trying to say. With someone that you can root for, to stand up for you.
while it's frequently the protagonist, it isn't always. The protagonist, in short, is literally just the main character, what the story is about, and sometimes the main character is kind of a dick, like Mal Reynolds in Firefly. Anyway, back to Kris. I love Kris. Kris is a kid with a vivid imagination. An imagination that's so eloquent that they can actually tell a story that's either so immersive that it makes the misanthropic and aloof Susy actually enjoy playing along, or it's literally actually magic. Either way, it's awesome. I'm sure I don't need to point out to you that all the toys, the stuffed animal in the corner, the checker pieces, the hammer, the playing cards are all characters that appear in Deltarune's main playthrough, or that the light fountain is literally the light switch, or that the
light fountain is literally the light switch. Huh, interesting.
Or that you have equipped in the game turns out to be a pencil, or the stuff that you had in your inventory is just a pile of trash, blah, blah, blah. This is all the stuff you know because you've either paid attention while playing or you've watched Matt's video on this. But the theming of this story, whether it's a magical manifestation of Kris's inner psyche or just an elaborate visualization of Kris's play with Susy, betrays a troubled mind. And in case you missed it while you were playing it, the game, or chapter, concludes with an ending that is chillingly reminiscent of not just the ending of Undertale, but the ending you get if you played a pacifist run after doing a genocide run, where Kris rips out their own heart, throws it into a cage, and brandishes a knife before grinning maniacally. Yikes. Psychopath.
Yikes. I didn't expect that.
Actually, that's not totally fair, but let's talk about the psychological profile of Kris for a second. Here's what we know. Kris is a loner, not by choice. They have a strong imagination. They're adopted. Kris's adopted parents are divorced. Kris has a strong imagination.
I literally said twice just now.
Kris has an older brother. Kris doesn't do well in school, doesn't have any notable achievements, an affinity for weapons as shown by the knife that they keep with them, has insomnia, misunderstood by parents, and expresses trauma through creative storytelling. We know some of these things pretty obviously. Kris doesn't talk with their peers a lot. The character Noelle mentions this to you if you go around asking questions and exhausting all her dialogue options, and she also mentions Kris covering themselves in ketchup to make it look like they're bleeding. They're obviously adopted because Kris is the only human in town and their parents are goat people, and they're less successful than their older brother when it comes to mainstream accomplishments, as evidenced by the sheer volume of accolades and trophies on their brother's side of the room, whereas their side is just sort of barren. And then, of course, there's the knife and the gleeful, evil grin. Now, to people who have either played through the genocide run of Undertale or have seen it, this ending probably immediately makes you think one thing: Kara, which probably makes you think the next thing: sociopath, and both of these things are wrong. I could do an entire video on why Kris isn't Kara, and maybe I will someday on Shoddycast over there, my other channel, but this is science. So for now...
But this is science. Let's talk about it.
Now, take it on faith that Kris isn't Kara, but perhaps more importantly, Kris is definitely not a sociopath. Sociopathy, as it's known colloquially, or antisocial personality disorder, is, according to the DSM-5, a word that you can use in a YouTube video or up to 6 YouTube videos in order to build suspense and hype around your documentary about an infamous YouTuber, regardless of the possible damage you could be causing in the meantime for mentally ill people everywhere.
Yeah, that is quite a sensitive topic.
Okay, I'm just kidding, but seriously, antisocial personality disorder is a very specific diagnosis, and I could go through the effort of showing you
Antisocial personality disorder.
Each diagnostic tick mark and going on about how antisocial behavior is a spectrum and not a binary 1 or 0, or show you the test I took answering for Kris that determines that they're on the spectrum but not severely, or whatever. But the truth of the matter is that definitively, denotively, demonstrably, alliteratively, Kris cannot be a sociopath because Kris is an adolescent. They're in school, and the very virtue of this, the fact that their brain is still developing, that their hormones are weird, that it's functionally impossible to isolate factors and test for them, is exactly why in order to be diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, you must be over the age of 18. Boom!
You are technically correct, the best kind of correct. True, they are learning, they are still undergoing this kind of growth, and thus, whatever that we set upon as being the standards will not necessarily work on them, you know, because after all, they are still learning.
off on a technicality. But no, there's more to it than that. Adolescents are diagnosed with conduct disorder in lieu of more definitive diagnoses like antisocial personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, etc. because these diagnoses, A, creates a treatment trajectory for them that allows for room and their growing brains and bodies, and B, well, okay, that's actually it. But more on that later, because while it's possible that Kris has conduct disorder given their affinity for dangerous weapons, it's not their
dangerous weapons. He uses a pencil, but his imagination for pencil is just creative. Yeah. This word, creative.
their primary condition. Kris's primary issue is post-traumatic stress disorder.
PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder.
Which, for those of you who know, is a diagnosis that I have, a condition I developed in my adolescent years, and is why this episode was so difficult for me. It opened wounds that I didn't even know were still there, but it's also why I identify so much with Kris, and it's also why I think I know where the story is going. Post-traumatic stress disorder can have like a million causes. Anybody who's experienced trauma of any kind can have post-traumatic stress disorder. This can be abuse from an authority figure, near-death experiences, war, or honestly, the combination of things are literally endless. It was originally called shell shock during World War I and II, and it has evolved since then. People can actually be born with PTSD if their parent who's pregnant with them experiences trauma themselves.
Oh no, that's just sad. Shell shock is because back into World War I, World War II, it's wartime, so that's just the names that the doctors give the symptoms to. War, shells, pew pew pew, shock. Shell shock.
Neat, huh? Or horrifying, whichever. Anyway, here are the signs and symptoms of adolescent or childhood PTSD.
Adolescent PTSD, childhood PTSD. This is very important to answer. It's very important to know.
Reenactment of trauma through play, loss of interest in previously enjoyed activities, angry outbursts, irritability, behavioral inhibition, reckless behaviors, regression, sleep disturbances, trouble concentrating in school, emotional numbing, sadness, guilt, low self-esteem, inability to trust others, avoidance of memories or situations that trigger memories of the events, flashbacks of the event, and difficulty forming social bonds. Holy crap, this is literally Kris to a T.
Oh gosh. I know it's a game, but it really does highlight the importance in the real world for us.
PTSD also has a lot of comorbidity with conduct disorder, depression, and bipolar disorder. But why am I telling you this? Well, for a few reasons. I think some folk walked away from Deltarune going, holy crap, Kris is the villain, look at that knife! And I want to show you that that's reductive. I used to carry a knife around when I was a young teenager. I threatened a kid with it once. I used to shoplift. I lied compulsively. I skipped school a lot, and I almost failed out several times. And what's the reason that I'm a fancy schmancy YouTuber who makes a living over analyzing video games and not in prison or dead? Something that I thought 100% was how my story ended when I was Kris's age? It's because I had a Susy. Several, in fact. Study after study has shown that along with therapy and selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, the biggest factor that decides whether or not an adolescent with
Yes, it's your environment. It's the environment that you grew up in. It's the environment that it's the atmosphere that's around you. Humans are ultimately habitual creatures.
severe PTSD will grow up to overcome their mental illness is support networks and social connections.
Support networks, social connections. Again, support networks, social connections.
Friends, people that ground you and help you when you fall down. That's what's known as network orientation, which can be defined as an individual's attitudes and expectations regarding the usefulness of support networks in coping with stress.
That is very important. I'm going to go back again.
Networks in coping.
Network orientation and individuals' attitudes and expectations regarding the usefulness of support networks in coping with stress. From understanding the relationship between PTSD and social support, the role of negative network orientation. Thank you so much.
With stress. This is something
it's very important to share this sort of human stuff and just let others know, have understanding, care for one another. After all, we are just Homo sapiens, we are just human beings.
Something that Kris had before Azriel went off to college, but no longer does, which is why they're doing so terribly right now. And it's 100% why Susy is the most important character in Deltarune. In fact, Susy may be more important to Kris than Azriel, because Susy is literally one of the only people who can relate to Kris. Sure, she drags her feet when it comes to getting engaged in the story, but when she finally connects with the themes and structures, when she finally gets what Kris is trying to convey, not only does she embrace these relationships with these characters and actually fights against the antagonist of the Dark World to protect Kris, she wants to come back. She wants to get to understand Kris more. I don't know what Kris's trauma is. I don't know if it's because they're the sole survivor of humanity. I don't know if it's his parents' divorce or because his birth parents died or what. That's going to become important as the story progresses, and speculating on that is more Matt's realm than mine. But that
Yes, well, sometimes focusing on the problems that caused it doesn't necessarily solve the problem. You know, sometimes the solution is important. It's much more important.
pulling out of your heart and putting it in a protective cage and detaching from the world around you so that you can be safe from being hurt, the fear of opening up to someone else, the fear of facing your trauma, of feeling like you have to be armed to protect yourself against the world, I get that, Kris. I get that so much. And I can say with certainty that Kris may be messed up, but Kris is not the villain. And I am super happy you have a Susy in your life, because Susy is going to save you. The allegorical themes of how Susy is a younger analog for Undyne and embodies all the self-sacrificial characteristics that make up what Toby Fox would describe as a true hero aside,
The true hero side of being a friend, just a friend.
that she's there, that she can better than anybody understand the kind of serious stakes that Kris is going through, that is a big deal. And I am so unbelievably psyched to see what happens next.
Chapter 2! 999 years later. But still, awesome.
Because while your choices and my choices as players don't matter, someone's does. And that someone made the choice to let down their walls and help another person.
Let down the walls, build bridges, you know. If you're isolated, don't be. We know that. I know that. Everyone knows that.
And I think that's pretty awesome. Sincerely, Austin.
Sincerely, awesome. Thanks so much. That's very nice. Awesome. Thank you so much. Anyways, if you do like this video, please consider to watch more of their videos. They are from the YouTube channel, The Game Theorists, and yeah, this video is really heartwarming, really human-like. Thank you. It's really important to spread the awareness and motivate everyone to be understanding, inspire everyone to show support and encouragement. And yeah, ultimately speaking, just stand in someone else's shoes. Understand from the point of view. We are all just humans. We are all just Homo sapiens. Thank you. If you do like this video, please consider to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and comment down below if you have anything to share with us. And yeah, I'll see you next time. But hey, that's just a theory, a game theory. Thanks for watching. Thank you. Thanks much. I know this is science, but hey, that's just the science. The signs of Deltarune. Thanks for watching. Thank you. Very important to address PTSD, adolescents PTSD. Shut. We are all just humans. Be there for one another.